Why do some people succeed while others struggle, even when they work just as hard? Every day, we see people rushing from task to task, scrolling endlessly, multitasking without finishing anything. Busy, but not moving forward. Active, but not effective. In a quiet classroom, a student stares at his book, trying to focus. He wants to understand. He wants to do better. But his mind feels scattered, pulled in 100 directions at once. It's not laziness. It's not lack of intelligence. It's something far more common, a lack of focus. Because effort without focus is like running in circles. You move, but you don't progress. Focus is the hidden skill that turns hard work into real results. Today, you'll hear the story of Ethan, a student who wasn't failing because he didn't try hard enough, but because his mind was never trained to stay still. Through 5 simple habits, he learned to control his attention, sharpen his mind, and change his life. Ethan was not lazy. He wasn't careless. In fact, he tried harder than most. He sat at his desk every evening with his books open, determined to improve. But no matter how long he studied, his mind kept drifting. A sound outside, a thought about tomorrow, a memory from yesterday. His attention was everywhere except where it needed to be. In class, his teachers spoke, but the words passed through him like wind through an open window. When exams came, the questions felt unfamiliar, even though he had read the pages many times. Each low score chipped away at his confidence. Slowly, Ethan began to believe a painful lie, that he simply wasn't smart enough. What he didn't know was that his problem wasn't intelligence. It was focus. His mind was crowded, restless, untrained. And until that changed, no amount of effort would bring results. One afternoon, after class had emptied and the noise of the day faded, Ethan remained seated, staring at his notebook. That's when Mr. Harris noticed him. He didn't ask about grades. He didn't lecture. He simply sat beside him and listened. Ethan spoke quietly about his frustration, how he studied for hours but remembered nothing, how his mind refused to stay still. Mr. Harris nodded, then said something unexpected. "You don't need to study harder. You need to train your mind." He explained that focus isn't something you're born with. It's a skill, just like strength or balance. Untrained, the mind wanders. Trained, it becomes powerful. And with the right habits, anyone can learn to control their attention. For the first time, Ethan felt hope, not the kind that waits for luck, but the kind that comes with a clear path forward. Mr. Harris placed a clear jar of muddy water on the desk. At first, the water was cloudy, chaotic, impossible to see through. "This," he said, "is your mind when it's restless." Then he did nothing. He simply waited. Slowly, the dirt settled, and the water became clear. "A focused mind begins with calm," he explained. Ethan learned to start each study session with just 5 minutes of stillness. No phone, no music, no pressure to think, just slow breathing and quiet awareness. At first, it felt uncomfortable. His thoughts resisted. But day by day, the noise softened as he realized something important. Clarity doesn't come from forcing the mind. It comes from allowing it to settle. And once the mind is calm, focus becomes possible. Mr. Harris lit a small candle and placed it in front of Ethan. "Watch the flame," he said. "Not yesterday, not tomorrow, just this." At first, Ethan's eyes wandered. His thoughts jumped ahead to homework, to worries, to distractions. But each time his mind drifted, he gently brought it back. This simple practice taught him something powerful. Focus isn't about blocking thoughts. It's about returning attention to what matters again and again. The present moment is where clarity lives. When the mind stays here, distractions lose their power. As Ethan practiced, he noticed a shift. Reading became easier. Listening felt deeper. Time no longer slipped away unnoticed. For the first time, he wasn't rushing through moments. He was fully inside them. Ethan used to rush through his lessons, believing speed meant intelligence. Read fast, finish early, move on. But Mr. Harris showed him a different way. He placed a sponge and a stone into a bowl of water. The sponge absorbed everything. The stone stayed dry. Your mind should be like the sponge, he said. Ethan learned to slow down. Instead of memorizing words, he asked questions. Instead of rushing to finish, he focused on understanding. He paused, reflected, and connected ideas. At first, it felt slower, but soon, the lesson stayed with him longer. Depth replaced speed. And with depth came confidence. Ethan realized that true focus isn't about doing more. It's about understanding better. Ethan often felt overwhelmed before he even began. Thick textbooks, long chapters, big goals. They all felt heavy, impossible to move. Mr. Harris showed him another lesson. He placed a large wooden block on the table, then slowly cut it into smaller pieces. A big problem, he said, is just many small problems waiting to be solved. Ethan began dividing his work into simple steps. One page, one concept, one question at a time. Instead of staring at the whole mountain, he focused on the next step in front of him. The fear faded. Progress became visible. He learned that focus grows when tasks feel manageable. Small steps created momentum, and momentum replaced overwhelm. Mr. Harris led Ethan to the window and pointed to a small plant growing outside. This didn't grow overnight, he said. It grew because it was cared for every day. Some days it received sunlight, other days rain, but it was never ignored. Ethan understood the lesson immediately. Focus isn't built in dramatic moments of motivation. It's built quietly through daily practice. Even on days when he felt tired or unmotivated, he showed up. 5 minutes of calm, one focused session, one small step forward. Slowly, consistency began to shape his mind. Focus stopped feeling forced. It became natural. What once required effort now felt familiar. Ethan realized that discipline, repeated daily, was far more powerful than sudden bursts of motivation. Weeks passed, and the change was quiet but undeniable. Ethan sat differently in class now. His eyes stayed on the page. His mind no longer raced ahead or drifted away. When questions were asked, he raised his hand, not because he knew everything, but because he was present. His grades began to improve, but more importantly, his confidence returned. Studying no longer felt like a battle. It felt focused, intentional, calm. He remembered what he learned because he truly understood it. Distractions still appeared, but they no longer controlled him. Ethan realized something powerful. Focus didn't just improve his studies. It changed how he experienced life. Conversations felt deeper. Time felt richer. His mind felt lighter. He wasn't chasing attention anymore. He was directing it. One afternoon, Ethan returned to the empty classroom where it all began. The desks were quiet. The room was still. He smiled, remembering the boy who once sat here overwhelmed and unsure. Nothing outside had changed, but everything inside had. Focus, he realized, wasn't a talent reserved for a few. It was a habit anyone could build. A calm mind, presence, deep learning, small steps, consistency. These weren't just study techniques, they were life skills. The world will always try to pull your attention in 1,000 directions. Noise will never disappear. Distractions will always exist. But when you train your mind, you decide where your energy goes. So if you feel busy but unfulfilled, if you're working hard but going nowhere, remember this: you don't need more time. You don't need more talent. You need focus.